Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our conversation series today on women returning to the workforce and employment opportunities. At this time, I want to remind you that if you're joining us live on Facebook, to make sure you go ahead and share. If you have any comments for us and you're joining on Facebook, please go ahead and post those in the comments. If you're joining us via Zoom, you can go ahead and use the Q&A. Our moderator will address all questions at the end of the series. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to Maribel Feliciano, who is our moderator for today and the Assistant Director for the Office of Economic and Small Business Development. Maribel?
Good morning. Thank you, Tamika, for that introduction. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our conversation series on women issues. We are very excited to host this series. We started them last year, and they were very successful, and we really want to hear from you. Any suggestions you have on topics you would like for us to discuss in future conversation series, please share that information with us. We would like to wish you a happy Women's History Month as well. And we're really excited about the topic for today. We know it's a very relevant topic. Women returning to the workforce, employment opportunities, and also women that are thinking about starting their own business. We're going to be discussing the challenges that you may be facing and resources that are out there and opportunities for all of you. So I would like to start by introducing our speakers for today. First, I would like to welcome Teresa Hughes. She is the Assistant Executive Director with the NSU Broward Center for Innovation, which is a state-of-the-art facility at NSU. And you're going to hear today from Teresa all the great resources they have to offer there. Good morning, Teresa, and welcome.
Good morning. It's such a pleasure to be here, and I'm honored to be part of this conversation. So thank you for having me.
Yes, and again, today's conversation, this is interactive. You all will have the opportunity to ask questions. So we encourage all of you to, if you're on Facebook Live, type your questions on the chat or the comments field, share our Facebook Live feed with all your friends, and encourage your friends to share with their friends as well. Next, I would like to introduce Carol Hilton. She is the President and CEO of CareerSource Broward. We work very closely with CareerSource Broward, promoting career opportunities, workforce development opportunities, and we are thrilled to have Carol with us today. Good morning, Carol.
Good morning. Thank you so much for inviting me to participate in such a timely forum as we move past the pandemic to get our women back to work.
Yes, Carol, and we were speaking earlier about the topic and how timely it is and how important it is that we work together, right, to share the information and the resources that all of these organizations have for our residents. Thank you, Carol, for being with us. And next, it is also my pleasure to introduce to all of you Lorraine Chen. She is the President and Chief Executive Officer for the Health Foundation of South Florida, and the Health Foundation of South Florida have been leading the charge basically with the South Florida Anchor Alliance, promoting economic prosperity in our region. And you're going to hear today from Lorraine on all of those initiatives, and we would like to welcome you, Lorraine, to our conversation series.
Thank you so much, and to my fellow panelists, it's an honor to have this opportunity to kind of share all of our perspectives. And I heard this said last night. Someone says that we're in the middle of a she session, not a he session and not a he session, not knowing that women have really been disproportionately affected. So I think this is a great time to have this conversation, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, Lorraine, for joining us. And I would also like to introduce to all of you today another great community partner that we have here in Broward County through the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance, Tracy Verdes. She is the Program Officer for Prosperity Broward, and we have been working closely with Tracy over the last few years on the Prosperity Broward initiative, and she's going to share with you more information about that today. Welcome back, Tracy.
Thank you, Maribel. I'm very excited to be here this morning. Thank you guys for having me, and I look forward to a great conversation.
And as you heard, thank you, Tracy, again, and thank you to all of you. And as you all heard, this conversation series is very organic and natural. We want to encourage all of you to participate and type your questions on Facebook, and also to share the Facebook feed with all your friends. So as all of you know, when the pandemic started a few years back, over 3.5 million mothers with school-age children had either lost their jobs, or they had to take leave of absence, or they basically left the labor market altogether to care for their children, maybe for their elderly parents, etc. And this really changed, right, the way women work, right? And for that reason, today we really want to share with you information to address the challenges that all of you face. We know that returning to the workforce after a couple of years may be challenging. So we want to hear from you. What are the challenges that you're facing? And we have some excellent resources that we want to, again, share with you today. So now in 2022, now that you're returning to the workforce, maybe rethinking what you were doing before. Maybe you want to have a change on the career that you previously had. Maybe you need access to new educational opportunities, or you're rethinking about the business that you had and you want to change your line of business. Today, we're going to be able to address all your questions related to the opportunities and the resources that we have. So we want to start the conversation today with some ideas on how women can start this process, right? After being off for a couple of years, what can they do to start? How can women prepare to re-enter the workforce after this career gap? I would like to hear from all of you.
Well, I think it's a great, and if you guys don't mind starting off, but I think it's a great opportunity to rediscover, right? So you've been at home, it's time to enter the workforce. What do you want to do? Do you want to keep doing the same as before? Do you want to enter a new field? There's so many opportunities right now for what we call reskilling, right? It's the change of career, and it doesn't necessarily need to be a 4-year degree in order to change that career. There's so many opportunities, especially in the technology field, and women are severely underrepresented in technology. So it's a great opportunity to, number one, bring that improve that statistics, I guess. And then also it's short term. There's a lot of training opportunities, certificate programs that could be anything from a few weeks to 18 months or so that give you that entry level, that are higher paying jobs as well. Right, so your entry level is a higher salary. So I think I would use this as an opportunity to do that, to explore what some of the interests, some things that maybe you've been curious about before, and look at what opportunities are there.
Yeah.
If I could add, I think that's a perfect segue to CareerSource Broward and what we do. We have over 10 different workshops that are both virtual and in person, depending on your level of comfort, that cover everything from support, getting you back to work, to how to then keep your funds, how to reduce your debt, and financial literacy. So resume preparation, especially if now post-pandemic we have been out of work for a while, or when we were laid off, we were in our job for 5, 10, 15 years. When was the last time you did an interview? So resume preparation workshop is so important, because a lot of companies now are using applicant tracking software. So you really need to know how to hone in and capture these things on your resume. We also can help you to prepare for that first time, because you never get, how does the saying go? You never get a second time to make a first impression, right? So we are able to train you and to get you ready for that interview. And we also do mock interviews where we can record you and show you how you did. So you're again able to hone in and make sure that you're giving clear eye contact, make sure that you're not looking away, or giving a clear, concise answer. We have assessment tools if you're not sure, what you want to do or what are your strengths. And also, once we kind of hone in on what your strengths are and what your experience is, we do have software can then show you how you can transfer your strengths or your skills, say you don't want to go back to do what you were doing before, into new careers, so that it really helps you to save time, so you can kind of hit the ground running and focus on what you want to do as you come back to the world of work.
And this is Lorraine, and I would add to what Teresa and Carol just talked about in terms of this really is an important opportunity for women to think differently, right? So if you've been out of the workforce a while, you may be thinking, okay, how do I get back in where I was, right? Or back on the track I saw for myself. But I think we're all seeing women in particular doing that gut check, that reassessment, and the workforce really has changed. So I think the advice we just heard is absolutely spot on. And the other thing I think is always important, and you just never know who it might be. You put the word out, talk to people in your community, your friends group, the parents of children in your school. You'll learn about, their organizations, what they're doing, maybe job openings that you may not know. And you just can't underestimate the power of networking and reaching out. So I would add that to the list of things we kind of started already talking about.
Yeah, and I'll add to what Lauren just mentioned. Even with like social media nowadays, making sure that you're presenting yourself in a professional manner and connecting with people, letting them know that you're in the market, that you're looking. And something else that I will encourage the audience to also work on is start thinking and evaluating your own skill set. Like, what are my strengths? And I think I heard someone mention this earlier. But really understanding, like, what are the things that I enjoy doing? What are the things that I feel like I am really good at, right? And then take a look at the marketplace. And you can do a simple Google search, like, what are some of the in-demand skills right now in 2022? And it would actually populate that list. So start looking at that, and then looking at your own skills and create a plan. Like, if this is really the route that you want to go in, what do I need to do to get there? And you have resources like Careers with Broward and many others like Broward College, which is one of our partners, and I'll talk about this some more, but you have the resources and the organizations that can help you get there.
Thank you, Tracy, and thank you for all those suggestions, excellent suggestions. Now, once you start reassessing, right? Our women start reassessing what they want to do. They have access to those new skills, additional training, and they have a plan on how they want to go forward. We always go back to documenting your experience, right? How well are you able to sell yourself? And we know the resume is very important for that. So can you share with us what tips our audience should be considering when preparing their resume? We know some people use LinkedIn or other websites. How do you stand out, or can you stand out? Can you share that with us?
If I could add, again, going back to the workshops, because they really cover a wide range of all the things we're talking about today, particularly, social networking. Social networking is one way right now to make you stand out. And so I think that if you come to the social networking workshop, we teach you how to set up your social networking and how to tap into the hidden job market and how to find the decision makers, whether it's LinkedIn or all the different websites that are available. It's very important. And again, going back to looking at your calling your old job, connecting with friends that you left prior to the pandemic, tapping into those professional associations. Those are great ways to find out leads that you can then, follow up on.
And for me, when we talk about the resume, I think that the harsh truth is that probably the first group to be looking at your resume is going to be a computer. Artificial intelligence, right? Because recruiters or employers just don't have time to screen every single resume. So I think every resume that comes in. So I think what's really important, and it's unfortunate, but this is the starting point. It is, again, that first impression is, once you know what fields you're looking at, then look at job postings for the kinds of positions you're interested in. and you'll see key words. So you take, to me, take a highlighter, and then you see the same words kind of popping up over and over again. And then you have to really make sure that those words, those skills, those qualifications are specifically called out in your resume so that you can make it through that first artificial intelligence screening. And then I would also say, you know, forward looking, you have to not only say what you've done, but what you've accomplished. And women aren't the best at that, right? You know, so it's like you have to be willing to brag about yourself, sit down and think about, okay, what were my responsibilities and how did I excel at them? So that someone reading your resume knows what you were responsible for and how you performed. And it's that. And then the last thing I would say is make sure, especially if you've been with an employer and had multiple opportunities and positions, make sure that that stands out as career progression. When I'm looking at resumes, I always want to see somebody who's been in an organization and who's added value and then has grown with the company. So those are things you'd want to make sure stood out on your resume.
Yeah, if I can add to that too, on the technical side, is from somebody that has been in the process of growing our team, don't generalize your resume. If you're applying for a specific position, like Laureen said, look at what the position is describing, and you know, you want to personalize your resume or cover letter if you're using one to the position that you're applying for, because that's going to help, number one, from the AI perspective. But even if it does reach the reviewers, I know that I review and I'm like, oh, this, you know, I don't know how this applies to the position itself, and you're hiding your there's so many transferable skills that maybe you haven't worked in this particular position, you know, back to what I was saying before, but there's those skills that maybe are transferable. So show that to help view the reviewers seeing hundreds of resumes, make sure that yours stands out by aligning it as much as you can to that position.
And if I could add, not just highlighting the skills, but easy to absorb and include the information that may need to change. You may need to have maybe 2 or 3 resumes depending on the job that you're applying to. And then depending on that job, you would tailor your resume to highlight those skills. So that's important. It's also important when we're looking at resumes, proofreading. Sometimes you can, you know, you think it's perfect and you could look at it 10 times and your eye adjusts for simple mistakes. So you need to have a second eye. Take a look at your resume. We also at Career Source Broward can help you develop a resume. We have a system where you put in your experience and it kind of formats it for you, because I know doing the resume and trying to pull all of those experiences together is kind of daunting. And I think sometimes, you know, women who have been out of the workforce for a while say, well, what do I say? I don't know what to put. And I would say, well, if you're taking 3 kids and bringing them where they need to be on time, that's time management. And if you're doing all the things you need to do to run the household, that's multitasking. So, you know, we can help you take your skills, as Teresa indicated before, and transfer them into what an employer is looking for. I would say with respect to LinkedIn, make sure, you know, you have professional photos there. Make sure you are putting some privacy settings there, or even have 2 different profiles, because a lot of employers now don't just want to see how you are on your resume. They want to see how you conduct yourselves out of work, out of what they're looking at. So they, and with it so accessible, they are looking in all the different social media sites. So you may want to take stock of some of those, you know, spring break pictures from a year ago or so, or a couple of years.
Excellent suggestions, Carol. And Carol, I know that in Career Source Broward, you mentioned some of the classes that you offer, but I know that that there's additional resources that you have available, right, for people that are re-entering the workforce, and there's grant opportunities for employers as well. Can you share with us more information about Career Source Broward resources and services?
Okay, sure. Let's talk a little bit about our, for women-owned businesses. For women-owned businesses, we have great resources. We have on-the-job training, which provides an opportunity for individuals who already possess some job skills and knowledge to earn as they learn. So an employer, it enables the employers to be reimbursed up to 75% of an individual wage while they're in training. So we're here helping that same customer we were talking about to step in back into work, right? So that they can get acclimated. And then the employers are also, it's impacting their bottom line. So they get to grow their business and they get to kind of train the employee or the trainee with the skills that they want. And our average on-the-job training reimbursement is about $12,000 per employee. So if you could just start to add that up from there, whether it's 24,000 or 36,000, you're able to, as an employer, get help. And we're able to also get some of these women we're talking about back into the world of work. We also have paid internships. And so for an employer, if you serve as a work site, and we use paid internships, again, as a way to get women or get customers back into the world of work where there might have been a gap on their resume, this kind of gives them some skills and some good, skills to add to their resume. So they're able to work with an employer up to 13 weeks. The employer gets to try out this employee, and we pay, CareerSource Broward pays 100% of the wages, and the workers' comp is also paid by CareerSource Broward. So it's a savings to the employer, and you get someone to assist you with building your business. I could go on. I'm cognizant of the time, but we also have incumbent worker training. If you have employees that now need to be trained on a new machine or new system, and we offset the cost of that with for the employer. The beauty of this is of many of the programs that we have, and particularly going back to WEX, the work experience or on the paid, is that oftentimes employers, as it's winding down and the customer's time is ending, they say, but wait, I can't live without this person. And they find a way to now employ the person. So it really is a win-win.
Thank you, Carol. And let me make sure I repeat that. You heard correctly. CareerSource Broward will pay for training for your staff. So if you have a business, or you're starting your business, or you're thinking of, reinventing the business that you had, just know that there is resources out there. There's grant opportunities. And what Carol just mentioned are grant opportunities for you to provide training to your employees, and CareerSource Broward will pay for them. So I think it's really important for you to be aware, and that's why we're putting this conversation series together, because it's really important for you to be aware of the resources that are out there to help you be successful. Something else I wanted to share, which is really important for all of us here in the county, for our county commission, it has been a priority, and that is that construction apprenticeship program. Our county commission approved a new construction apprenticeship program that started April of last year, and basically requires that all new construction projects that are $5 million or more are required to have apprentices as part of 12% of the labor hours must go to apprentices. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I know that Carol in CareerSource Broward, they also have opportunities to connect all of you to apprenticeship programs. Can you tell us briefly about that, Carol?
Sure. That's a great question. We are proud to be partners with the county on the new construction apprenticeship program. So we're excited about that. But I can tell you that apprenticeships are available in a wide variety of industries, and a great way for individuals to obtain new skills while earning a paycheck. Right? So we help employers cover the training for the apprentices by reimbursing the employer up to 75% of the apprentices' wages while they're in training. So employers can receive an average about $18,000 in wage reimbursement for one apprentice. So again, depending on the size, so you multiply that by 2 apprentices or 3 apprentices. We have employers that we have been working with for many years now. For one example, we have a construction industry employer that saved over $100,000 in wages as we work to process a group of apprentices. And for the apprentices, it's a great way to start because they don't need, they're not racking up loan payments. It's earn while you learn. So it really, as you go forward in trying to figure out what your next step is and where you want to go, it's not one size fits all. It's really whatever works for you, whether you want to go to school. We do have scholarships, reimbursements as well, that up to $12,000 if eligible, and we do reimburse for books and so forth. We do have all the Broward apprenticeships that are available in Broward on our website, and I'm sure we can share that link in the chat. In high growth industries right now, that's construction. We talked about information technology. We just had a technology event for women, because talking about the different jobs, not just work, but the home jobs that women have and caregiving and children, technology sometimes is a great way, because in some instances, they really have adapted to the hybrid or the remote work. And so with some short certifications, you can hit the ground running, and that's an avenue that you can go into and be able to move up and maybe even work from home. So please visit CareerSource Broward to take a look at that. We also created the first ever apprenticeship for marine mechanics to Broward County. And so, you know, not all jobs, they're non-traditional jobs. I'm not discounting that for our women, right? And that's a good wage. So again, we're also planning an apprenticeship forum for our employers in July, because we want to make sure that employers, if you don't have an apprenticeship program, we want you to know, we've invited the state how to develop one. And if you do have one, we want you to know that we can connect with you and offset your costs.
Thank you, Carol. And we will be part of your forum. We'll be joining forces to make sure we get the word out about that excellent event. Thank you for sharing those resources. Now I want to speak a little bit about the Health Foundation of South Florida, Lauren. And basically your organization has been leading the charge as it relates to engaging many organizations in our region, the hospital system, the school systems, government at all local and county level, as part of this South Florida Anchor Alliance, basically to promote economic prosperity for all. Can you please tell us about the initiatives that you're trying to promote and how you're connecting residents and businesses to opportunities?
Well, first of all, thank you for the introduction. I know that many of the women on this call, their organizations are part of the Anchor Alliance. So thank you all for the partnership. Health Foundation is leading and supporting, but really it's been a community leadership collaboration for several years, and really starts with the perspective and understanding that these large systems that you just spoke about, the school systems, the municipalities, cities, sheriff's office, the sheer purchasing power, the dollars that those organizations spend in our community or can spend in our community, and as well as the number of jobs that exist in those institutions, gave the Health Foundation the perspective that if we could bring all of these groups together with the mindset that we want to increase opportunities for certain communities or individuals that are struggling, and really be intentional about it. Because the reason that this is important is because we know that those organizations are sometimes hard to engage with, not intentionally, but they're really large systems. So our kind of theory of change is that we bring folks together, CareerSource, OIC, Urban League, Hispanic Unity, and really look at ways to bring together the small businesses who are looking to compete and help get them ready to compete. And then at the same table, bringing together not only those supporters, but then the employers and looking at what are the barriers that exist and how can we eliminate those things. So we've been in the process of working on this for a few years. So from the small business side, I know you're excited. We've been really doing a lot of work and looking to do some exciting things this year to matchmake, to start a process of matchmaking those small businesses with opportunities that would make sense, and then help them get ready to do business. And then the other is where we've been very intentional in 2022, the Health Foundation, right? Understanding that it's difficult. Health really depends on a lot more than healthcare and genetics, right? Social needs drives a lot of health outcomes. And so what we've been looking at this year in particular is what's happening in our hospital systems in terms of workforce opportunities. There's so many unfilled positions in the hospital. So we're really looking at creating pathways from, let's say, entry-level certified nursing assistants or LPNs, and what are the opportunities that we can create with Broward College and others to upskill them, because those jobs, we all know, and we've all been hearing the stories about escalating wages, and I think those are great opportunities for women, and so we're looking to create those opportunities by supporting individuals and institutions that are looking to connect those jobs with those individuals.
Thank you, Lauren, and to everybody that's participating in the conversation today. Stay tuned for more information, because we are going to be, OESBD is part of the Self-Career Anchor Alliance, and we're going to be sharing with you information, workshops, resources, links to our anchor institutions, procurement opportunities, links to our anchor institutions, employment opportunities, and all that information. So it's an excellent collaborative effort that, again, is bringing together all these anchor institutions to collaborate on the best way to get small businesses to be part of the procurement process, because we know it's very challenging to navigate the procurement process of government organizations. And also employment opportunities. How can we address the challenges and the barriers, right, associated with seeking employment with government entities, hospital systems, universities, etc. Very exciting project. And again, stay tuned for more information, because we are working on basically on a weekly basis, all the anchors to come up with new ways to address those challenges. And some businesses, some are, again, reinventing themselves. We talked about that. Some women are looking for flexibility, right? Now that maybe they were off for a few years, they want to return to the workforce, but many experience the opportunities to telework, right? And work, the virtual opportunities to basically return to the workforce, reinvent themselves, maybe restart their own business. So we want to hear from Teresa about the opportunities that you have on your state-of-the-art facility, which I was very fortunate to stop by and visit a few months ago. And it's truly a state-of-the-art facility. I have not seen a facility like this ever. And I want you to tell us all about it, Teresa. Tell us about the great resources that you have. And for our, again, women that are thinking about starting their own business, returning to the workforce.
Sure. Well, thank you for that. So yes, we have a new facility. It's 54,000 square feet, and we are based on NSU's main campus right here in Davie. And the space itself is event space, it's co-working space, conference meeting rooms, but then we have some unique things like a cyber range. So we are going to be conducting training around cybersecurity. We're actually just launched it a week ago. So if anybody's interested in just exploring and getting their hands wet, if you will, within cyber, we do have some entry-level training that we're starting to offer just to even with an assessment to see what if that's of interest. We within the cyber range, we also are for those that already have their businesses. If you are want to test your capabilities, vulnerability assessments, we are also able to work with industry and government to bring in their teams and do that within the cybersecurity area. We also have a technology-focused makerspace. So we have it filled with all the emerging tech. So your 3D printers, your 3D scanners, robots, drones, artificial intelligence, AR and VR headsets. And that's really for those that are interested in developing within these areas or also learning. So we will be, again, on the job training, model training programs within these emerging techs. And again, it's part of what I was saying at the beginning of getting people just engaged and aware of the opportunities that exist. We also have a media studio. So for those that are looking to create podcasts, webcasts, videos for products, any kind of media content creation, we have that as well. So that's the physical aspect, but really the resources, it's the meat and potatoes of what we do. And we're here to help entrepreneurs in any stage that they're in. So we have what we call our 4 core programs or pillars, and it's ideate, incubate, accelerate, and post-accelerate. And it's really helping an entrepreneur anywhere from, I have an idea, but I'm not really sure if it's worth starting a business. So that's our ideate program. In 4 weeks, either you move forward or you pivot. Then we have our incubate program, which is a 6-week program where you've already tested your idea, you know you're ready to move forward. What does your company look like? What is your company structure, your financial structure? Are you going to look for investments or are you going to go more traditional financing? What is your talent structure? So we've been talking about the jobs. What does that look like? Do you go for consultants? Do you go for FTEs? And then you have your Accelerate program. Our Accelerate is for those businesses that are already established, they have customers, they have some traction, but are looking for the growth aspect. Does that mean talent acquisition? Again, growing your staff. Does it mean that you're looking for more funding? Do you want to grow your second location? Whatever you're looking for, that stage of growth, that's what that Accelerate is. And then our Post Accelerate is the one that's a little bit unique in the sense it's a much more customized program. That's really for the companies that are well established, that have local, regional, maybe even national recognition and are looking for that global expansion, that exit, that IPO or to go public, whatever that end goal is. So that one's we're launching next year. We haven't launched that one yet, but we are currently accepting applications for our Ideate program. Our Incubate program is going to be launching later this month, and we'll be accepting applications in a couple months for that. So that's the core programs. Now, we also understand not everybody fits neatly into one of these. So we have a lot of other supplemental work to help along the way. And one of them is wraparound services. So we've connected and we continue to connect with service providers. So we're talking about your legal, your marketing, accounting, finance, HR, even self-care management, and identifying 5 to 6 individuals or firms of each one of those. And they come and they provide office hours here. So they help along the way for all that back office information that most of us are not thinking about it from an entrepreneur perspective, but they're here to guide in that. And then we also have workshops along the way, so topic specifics that help fill the gaps while you're in between those stages. Part of all of that, we also, like I said, is the co-working. So our members is what we call them. We have 8 different membership options. So if you like the remote work but are tired of looking at your 4 walls in your room, in your office, and are looking to launch your business, we have some space here that's a lot more innovative. So we have some great views of actually Fort Lauderdale and a lot of Broward County. But we have 8 membership options, and as part of our membership, we also extend our network, our services, our access to fundraising. So if you are looking to be an investment type company, we do help prepare you and put you in front of investors, whether they're angels or VCs or family offices, and even financial institutions if you're going more traditional methods. With that, I think I've covered the majority. I can keep talking because we have so many things going on here, but I think that that's the gist of it is if you are looking to start a business, we can even help you test to make sure it's a valuable business, and we help you solidify what that looks like all the way. If you already have a business, how do you grow it? And then there's the talent acquisition to the conversation that we've been talking to today. We're on NSU's campus, so we have access to talent here. So we are creating internship programs, what we've talked about as well, within the students. And I will say one unique thing that most people don't realize, Nova Southeastern University is 70% graduate student, 30% undergrad. So when we're talking about the internships and the access to talent, we're looking mostly at the graduate level. So we're getting highly qualified students to work for you. And a lot of that is working with our startups, is that they're not ready to hire, but they need help. So an internship is a great opportunity to do that because you're still getting quality staff at a different rate. So.
Thank you so much, Teresa. And all I can say to our audience today is, I told you. Didn't I say state-of-the-art facility? Yes, and more. So please stay tuned for more information. We're going to share with you information, links, emails, and phone numbers on how to connect to all these resources today. But now I want to go to the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance and the work that they're doing through Prosperity Broward. So when I go to Tracy, I know they have been focusing on changing policies, right? Because in order to impact change, we have to change policies. Can you share with us some of the barriers and challenges that you have noticed that women are facing, right? Especially single moms, as they're looking for opportunities, right? Can you share with us what those challenges have been?
Yes, absolutely. I first have to say, Teresa, I had an opportunity to visit, and it is state of the art. I have to say. And we've hosted several events as well. You guys are amazing. So thank you for bringing this here. I would like to share a little bit about Prosperity Broward, if I may, Maribel. We are an initiative of the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance. The Alliance, as an organization, we do economic development work for the county. So our mission is really to market this area as a place to do business, and really to attract those companies with those higher paying jobs to move in the area. And within the Alliance, we have the Alliance Foundation, which is where you'll find Prosperity Broward. And this initiative is under a larger collective impact initiative called the Prosperity Partnership. And that initiative includes 11 different pillars. And Prosperity Broward is one of those pillars. And this initiative focuses on 6 zip codes in the county that have the highest poverty and the highest unemployment. And I have been working on this for about 3.5 years now, and I've worked with several of you that are here, very familiar with the South Florida Anchor Alliance and the work of Careers with Broward, and they've been great partners. And our goal really with Prosperity Broward is how do we expand economic mobility in the zip codes by connecting these residents to not just jobs, but better paying jobs, right? One of the things that we've really taken a look at is who are the organizations that are already involved in these communities. And what we found is that Broward County as a whole, we have thousands of nonprofit organizations. So the issue is not a lack of resources, is not a lack of funding going into these communities, but it's really coordination. And also, how do we get the word out about those resources, which is why I'm happy to be here today, and being able to share with you all what are some of those resources that are available. And what we're doing now, which I think it's different than most initiative, we are going into these communities and we're asking the residents, what is it that we could do differently? And they're helping us in designing whatever the intervention may be, or what new programs we need, or what new resources that they need. We're asking them instead of us telling them this is what we think that you need. So for the past couple of months, actually back in December, we hosted a series of listening sessions with single moms in those communities. And why we selected single moms, we actually did an analysis. We have a data working group, and we looked at, of those 6 zip codes that we're focusing on, which is the area that had the highest poverty, highest unemployment, and also which population had the highest, highest poverty and highest unemployment as well. And we saw that single moms, they were the one that had the highest disparities, right? So we are honing in on single moms because we do believe that if we can help the single mothers, then that could be a recipe to help, the other residents. And I can tell you guys that these sessions, for me specifically, has been an eye-opening experience, because sometimes there could be assumptions about what we think is happening. But then when you sit with the residents, you're really learning and really getting that reality check. And I highlighted some of the key things that came out of those sessions. And just to share with you guys, we not only met with single mothers, but we also had a session with case managers from the different organizations that service those residents. We also had a session with HR staff from different companies within the county. And some of the things that they've mentioned to us, one is the lack of access to affordable childcare. That was a major barrier for our single moms. And I have been in conversation with the Early Learning Coalition of Broward, and some of what they've shared with us, which I think would be interesting for you all to know, not only affordability being an issue, but we also are seeing a major issue with staffing for some of these childcare agencies. During the pandemic, a lot of those childcare workers left, right? And a lot of them didn't come back. So now we're facing, that's a major challenge, because you can only have certain kids per childcare staff. So this is something else that we are working with the Early Learning Coalition with. I know that there are some programs that they're working on to really get more people to start coming back and getting into those positions. But also we've learned from our single moms, like transportation is another major issue. If I don't have a car, how do I get from where I am to where those jobs are located, right? And we are having conversation with our transportation team here at the county. And I'll be happy to share more about that. And you guys, I'll share my contact info, but very excited about how we are going to start partnering with the transportation department here. But also, we're learning from the moms, like not having the flexibility of working from home is another major barrier. They would like to work from home. They would like to have the opportunity to not have to commute, especially for those that don't have access to a car. And for us, looking at those different issues, what we're doing now is we're really taking a look at those different barriers that came up during those sessions, and we're reaching out to partners to see who could help actually fill those gaps. But from a policy standpoint, we're also learning there are our returning citizens. So those are residents that are returning back into society, and they're facing issues because a lot of those jobs, they're asking them, and if they do have some background issues, more than likely they're not able to even get an interview. So we do have partners that are actively working with companies and employers and asking them to consider, and I think the policy is called Bend the Box. I know our partner OIC of South Florida, they've been working on this and trying to get more of our cities and our employers to understand why this is important. But we also have the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta. We recently signed an MOU with them, and they are actively at the table. We have a meeting with them every 2 weeks. And one of the reasons why we've engaged the Fed is because we started noticing an issue with what's called the benefit cliff. So as we're engaging these residents and asking them to consider higher paying jobs and better paying opportunities, what we're seeing is as soon as they get a better paying position or they start making more, they lose out on some of their benefits, like the food stamps and others. So we have the support of the Fed, and we're taking a closer look at this and trying to figure out what could we do? And we know that it happens instantly. So maybe there needs to be some sort of emergency funding period that comes in. We're still in the process of figuring that out, but just to give you guys an idea of the policy changes that we're looking at. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tracy, for sharing that information. And as you all can see, those wraparound services and resources are so important for residents, for single moms, but also those wraparound services for businesses, right? The ones Teresa spoke about. So we're going to be, again, we're here to share with you that information, the resources that are out there, and try to connect you to more opportunities. Now I want to shift a little bit to those women that want to enhance their skills, right? What learning opportunities are out there to develop their skills, to go back to school, with funding assistance, etc. I guess we can start with Carol, but I would like to hear from other speakers as well, if you're aware of other resources for educational opportunities, skills development, etc.
Sure, thank you.
Carol?
we talked before about the work-based training programs. So now I'm going to focus a little bit on our scholarship program. We do provide up to $12,000 of tuition assistance for a variety of programs. We have over 200 programs that we will provide a scholarship for on our website. So if you go there and you look up individual training account, you'll see the providers. We have our partners, of course, Broward College and also School Board of Broward County and many others. We provide up to 2 years, and it is an in-demand occupation. And while you are also attending school, we will, whether that's virtual or in person, we will assist with transportation services if needed, and also help to pay for books. And in some instances, our nursing school uniforms, and if they're doing, plumbing, then there's maybe tools. So we're there to assist because we want you to be successful. We also recently got an additional grant from, it's called Get There Faster. And that grant is really focused on working with our veterans and their spouses and their children. And that grant also allows for training. And the short-term certifications could be anywhere from 30 days to 90 days. And it, in and of itself, has 130 individual certified certificates. So one of the things we found when we did a survey also is that we don't want to be the best kept secret. So we want to partner with Tracy, which we do, and make sure that, it's one thing, as Tracy said, for the resources to be there. But if you don't know they're there, then you can't avail yourself of them. And that's why I really have to commend you, Maribel and Sandy, for putting this together, because that's how the community knows that we're here. So being able to come in and get a scholarship, we have people who were near homeless and now they're on their way to become a nurse, or on their way to have a trade where they now can move forward and have a sustainable living. Because if you're helping the parents, you're helping the children, right? So that they can also elevate themselves. So I'm very proud of the scholarship program we do. And again, it's not one size fits all, because not everyone wants to go to school for 2 years. Some may just want to go in and get a certification. So again, it depends on what you bring to the table. We have qualified professional placement success coaches that can sit with you, determine what your needs are, and then help you to achieve them. I don't want to forget our young people. Each year we do a summer, because they're our future workforce, right? So each year we also run a summer youth employment program. And for those kids, 16 to 18, we give them 3 days of an employability skills training program. So we're working on their skills, and then we are putting them out into the community with a host of private employers and public and nonprofits. And for the kids, it starts to help them to understand, okay, I love this job, I think I can do this, or, oh, wow, I didn't like that, I've got to be outdoors more. So it really starts to help them to figure out what they want to do kind of when they grow up. And in those instances, many kids have gone back to school now inspired because they have seen what the world of work is. And I can just say, with respect to skills, what we have done over the past couple, the pandemic, is we've done our best to match those, for example, hospitality, those industries that really had severe shortage with young women that were interested in that track, in that industry. So we've married the school system, those in the hospitality track, to now going to get a job in hospitality. And I think last year, the Riverside Hotel, I think they hired maybe about 8 or 9 kids, which is wonderful because when the summer ended, they then were able to continue. And it's making those little inroads. And so the most important thing that I could say is to visit your Career Source Broward, because that's what it is. It's your workforce development board. All the services are free. It is paid for already with your tax dollars. And if you get nothing else, just know that you go in. I'm not sure what I want. I'm not sure what I want to do, but I know I want to change where I am now. And that's the first step. And there are many doors. We've got wonderful panelists that have all these different doors. We're just one. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Carol. And they have different offices across the county. So we're going to share with all of you the website for more information. But yes, know that there are a lot of resources out there for you. And just very quickly, I wanted to go any other financial resources or grants that may be available for educational programs. Teresa?
Yes, so I in my case, what we're doing is that we're partnering with some of the industries that are talking about the skills gaps and the positions that they can't fill, and we're creating training programs specific to that. So I again, for if that's something that's of interest, most of them seem to be technology enabled at the very least from what we're getting, but that's a great opportunity for the training. And we are personally applying for grants to be able to offer these at little to no cost to the population. So we don't specifically offer the scholarships, but we're working on getting that funding to be able to do so. But it's anything from, programming to, again, using augmented and virtual reality, which most people think of coding and sitting there with language, but there's also an artistic. So if you have an artistic nature, there's people that have to design the digital environment. So how do you, there's different ways to go about it. So I invite others to connect. If you even have just an inquiry or a slight interest, we can explore a little bit further what some of those interests are. What some of those interests are and how we can connect them with some of the technical programs that we're offering. And if it's not with us, then we can connect with other institutions of higher ed and help provide information. But yes, ours are specifically within the gaps that we're seeing. So the jobs that are openings that exist.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Teresa. And now I wanted to talk a little bit about, the flexibility, right? That women need as they're returning to the workforce, right? Some women, again, were able to telework, and they needed that flexibility to be able to do the homeschooling with the virtual school and all those things. And we've all learned, right? Employers have learned that adding some flexibility, using technology and all those things is opening doors. So can all of you share with us basically how employers need to be more flexible, in your opinion, right? How employers need to be more flexible to the needs of our, women returning to the workforce?
I'll go first. This is Lorraine again. I would tell you, I've been speaking to some of my friends, and it really it's shifted. We've grown up, I think, in an employer-dominated environment, right, where employers can kind of put out what they're looking for, what they expect, what you need to do to earn, right, and setting the wages. And really, it has been flipped, and now this is an employee-driven, candidate-driven environment. And I don't think that's going to change. And so I think the most important thing is employers are wrestling with. Some are doing better than others, but I think understanding that the mold has been broken, and we just can't wait out until the employers get back on top and get to kind of say exactly what they want and how they want to get it. So I think your point is really important. If you want to recruit, retain a quality workforce, flexibility is an absolute must, right? And so when we think about, we've talked about on the call, well, why were women disproportionately affected? Childcare issues. What time does school start and what time does school end, and what time do moms sometimes have to be there to pick up and drop off? So understanding your employees' needs in that, right? Caregiving for older, their parents. It used to be, well, that's what your nights and weekends are for, ladies. You know what I mean? What does that have to do with me? Well, that's not, we just hired someone here at the Health Foundation, and in the interview process, which should always be, what do you need and what do we need? She talked about, listen, I have 2 older parents, pandemic's been really hard on them. And can you be flexible? And absolutely, we can, we should, and we have to be, right? And then the other thing is, the widening gender pay gap, right? When we step out of the workforce, we've only made the problem worse for ourselves. So honestly, that's another reason that some women say it's not worth it to go back, right? By the time, as Tracy, what you were talking about, by the time I take care of my childcare and now gas and commuting, all of those things are just kind of a little bit of disincentives, more so for women that are carrying a bigger, sort of responsibility in terms of household or family responsibility. So for me as an employer, what I'm sort of saying and understanding and seeing is absolutely flexible. Work from home seems to be the most common way to be flexible, but it's not the only way, right? When there are opportunities to start early, stay later, work off hours, all of those things, if we're not doing that, especially for women, then we're not going to get them back into the workforce because it's just not reasonable or realistic for women to be able to do all of that. So I think women should be really confident in expressing what they need in the process, because I think employers are being more responsive than they might expect.
Yes.
Thank you, Lorraine. And you just said a very good point, right? Making sure that you share, right, what it is that you need as part of that process, right? Because sometimes we're afraid to ask as women when we are, seeking jobs, etc. So Lorraine, excellent points overall, how important it is for us employers to be flexible, but at the same time for those women that are looking for jobs and you are being interviewed, be assertive, be confident that you have the skills that are needed to be successful, to have the job, and that you need to ask for what it is that you need as well. Carol.
No, flexibility is the most important thing in the world that we are in. I remember when the pandemic started and we said we were going to get this technology called Zoom. Now, it's really a way of life, and employers need to recognize, as Lorraine indicated, we will never go back to where we were. So we're all trying to figure out, well, where is that sweet spot now? And so is it hybrid? Where is it full remote? Are there jobs that can be fully remote? So the employers need to look at that. And then there may also be some advantages to that, because if you do find that remote is working, and it did for many people over the past year and a half, then maybe you don't need as much brick and mortar that you had. So there might be some savings there. So again, that could be a win-win for the employer and for the employee. Looking at childcare, some employers have moved to bring a childcare on site. And in that instance, it does make for a happier employee. Some employers do give additional incentives. So maybe looking as an employer at the benefits package, or are there incentives that you can give to your employees? The other thing that we talk with our employers about when they put in job orders is they may say, okay, well, I need 10 years experience. Well, do you really need 10 years experience? Would 4 years experience do? Or could we do an on-the-job training and you have little experience, and then you train the person to the way to develop the skills that you want them to have. So flexibility really is the start, and from that, it's an openness as an employer to be able to look at things differently.
Thank you, Carol. And I want to take some time for questions, because I know we have some questions from our participants on our chat. But first, I wanted to speak briefly about something that Lorraine mentioned earlier, and is the value of networking. So I just wanted to open it up to all of you, how important it is to network, but how to network effectively, right? How important it is that you're intentional as part of that process. I'm just gonna open it up to all of you.
Yeah, I would definitely add that it's extremely important. And I think this goes back to the conversation we were having when we first started, is making sure that you have a professional profile, LinkedIn, your social media pages, but also understanding like where is it that you like to go, right? What industry? And finding networking events within that specific industry. There are a lot of websites. Personally, I use meetup.com. It's a great website for people that are looking to connect with smaller communities. So let's say if you're interested in the marine industry, look for groups within that industry in Broward, right? And there are a lot of groups there. You can also go on Facebook, find people that are already doing what it is that you want to do, and try to connect with them and find a mentor, find someone that can guide you along the way.
I
would
absolutely
add-
agree.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I
Karen.
would also add, Tracy, Eventbrite is also a great place to go. But, you know, we call it in our workshops the hidden job market, right? Because sometimes, you know, in passing or in conversation, you find out they're going to be looking for, they're going to be posted. And now you're there, they're talking to you, and it develops that relationship. So you're able to tap into that. I think especially now when we're able to start seeing people below the waist and people are starting to get out more. Now it is a wonderful time to your chambers, connect with them, connect with your local cities and see what's happening. Go onto the websites and see what the calendar of events is. At Career Search Broward, each week we have, you know, recruiters in our centers. So you can, you know, look at our website to see if this week we're doing something in the industry that, you know, that has your experience. The other thing I would say is that I didn't get to say before is we use Employ Florida, which is a state database where all the jobs are. And Employ Florida spiders all the major job boards. So if you go in there and you set up an account, you can also set up what's called a virtual recruiter. So in the morning, once you set it up, it's got your skills, you get up, you get your coffee, you sign into your email. You may have 3 or 10 jobs there because it's going to pull into your email the jobs that you fit the criteria for. So those are some of the things I would say are good ways to be able to do that.
Yeah, I just want to go back to what Tracy.
Teresa.
Oh, sorry. Yes. I just wanted to go back to what Tracy was saying, because networking is definitely important, but there's so many groups, you know, Meetup and Facebook are great. I agree with those. But there are also during the pandemic, because people are looking for ways to connect. A lot of these groups, I've seen them pop up because here at the Center of Innovation, we've been hosting so many third-party events. Some of these groups have been coming here. I mean, and some of them are women focused, which is great because women helping women is that's where we get far. But not only women helping women, but women with specific industries and interests, like Tracy was mentioning. So, you know, when I was young, there was always somebody taught me, one of my mentors taught me, is like, you make friends everywhere you go, because you never know what that leads to. Not only, and it sounds kind of bad, it's not about advantageous, but it's just opening doors, and who knows who and who knows what is going on. So I highly recommend finding ways to network, and it's not always in everybody's comfort house. You know, if you tend to be more introverted, networking events could be a little bit intimidating, but there's, you know, go with a friend, go with somebody or go with somebody that knows somebody there so they can make the introduction. So there's strategic ways to go about it too.
And volunteering in an organization where you would like to be an employee.
Yeah.
Thank you for that feedback. And we have a lot of questions and comments on our chat, so I would like to start addressing those. But first, I would like to share with all of you, now that we shared information, resources, training opportunities, Broward County is hiring. We are always hiring. We're going to be sharing with you in a few minutes our website that you need to go to see employment opportunities. We have part-time employment opportunities, full-time employment opportunities. So we encourage you to check out our website. We also have a trainee program. Carol mentioned that flexibility, and, you know, maybe if you don't have the experience that is needed for a job, maybe you can start and then develop, after we train you, develop those skills that are needed. So the county has a trainee program as well. And Tracy mentioned the ban the box. We also have implemented that policy for a few years now. So just wanted to share with you some of this is our website, broward.org/careers. Please go for information. Positions are posted on a weekly basis, and we have a lot of positions available for you. One question that we have from our participants today is how can we apply for the training that was shared today by Career Source Broward? Carol?
Yes, the first step is to visit a Career Source Broward Center. We're located on Davie, West Oakland Park, and also Coconut Creek. We will need to do eligibility. So you do need to come in, start talking to a success coach, telling them, you know, what your interests are, and then we go from there.
Thank you, Carol. The next question is, what if the business is a startup business with business owner as an only employee? Does that affect any of the resources, access to resources we just shared?
That I would say come to the Levant Center of Innovation. I mean, we have a lot of resources for startups, especially with a sole employee. If you're looking to grow your team, we can help with that. If you're, you know, I don't know what the goal is for that business, but definitely I would say reach out to me, and I'll put my email on the chat because we can help in whatever it is you're trying to do.
Thank you, Teresa. How does the future employee get connected to these to earn, for the apprenticeship program? Carol, how a future employee can get connected to access to the apprenticeship programs?
I would say for an employer, they should call 954-677-JOBS and start with that person, tell them what you would like to do. And then we could direct you to the appropriate person there, because it also depends on the center and where they are closest.
Thank you, Carol. And I noticed that Catherine Menes, she's with OESBD and she's responsible for our construction apprenticeship program. I noticed that she posted on the chat her contact information and our website. So we also encourage all of you to visit broward.org/econdev. We have there a construction apprenticeship program website, and we have access to all the apprenticeship programs in Broward County, and actually regional apprenticeship programs that provide services to Broward County residents. I'm going to take a few more questions. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to add also, if they go to careersourcebroward.com, you'll be able to see also all the different apprenticeships in Broward. And then we also have, for the job seeker, various videos that kind of show you a day in the life, depending on, you know, the various industries.
Thank you, Carol. And I have a few questions that are asking if this is being recorded, and the answer is yes. We are recording our session today. It's on Facebook Live, so you'll be able to see it on our Facebook page. So I want to thank all of you that joined. Let me keep looking at some of the questions that we have here.
Maribel, can I jump in?
Yes,
I just saw a really nice kind of question and comment. Sandra talked about, you know, getting a divorce and then the pandemic hitting. And I think she really exemplifies kind of some of the challenges that the women have. So I read what she wrote, and I would encourage her to look in the nonprofit space. You know, she talks about caregiving and case management, I think, and her experiences. So when I read her particular email or post, I know that our nonprofit community is really struggling with their workforce as well. And I think that might be a nice fit for her. So, you know, that would be just my personal advice and sort of a point for her.
Yes, thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah, sorry, Maribel. I also noted her information, and I will reach out to her because yes, that is a good option. I know the Urban League is currently hiring, and some of our other organizations, so.
And that's what I wanted to ask as well from all our speakers today. Can you tell us a little bit about employment opportunities within your organizations, or maybe other organizations we work with on a regular basis?
So I know NSU is hiring, not only at the Levant Center of Innovation ourselves, we're hiring, but NSU and NSU has a variety. So I know people think it's institution of higher ed, so I'm not a faculty, but there's anything from receptionists to teachers, because we do have a pre-K through 12th grade program. We have clinics, we have community centers. So there's a variety of positions. I highly encourage to take a look, and it's nsucareers.nova.edu, and there's, I think, over 500 jobs listed right now just in this area.
Thank you,
And I would
Teresa.
add that in Employ Florida, we have thousands of job opportunities. You know, some of the top ones now are, you know, registered nurses, software developers, health technologists and technicians, customer service reps. So I would definitely encourage you to take a look at Employ Florida. And we are also hiring, which would be in there.
Thank you, Carol. Next question from Caroline on Facebook Live. Does Broward County OESBD partners with organizations to talk to their employees about the programs and resources available to all residents? Yes, on a regular basis, we accept requests for speakers from various organizations, and we go out to the community to speak about resources available, workforce development resources, small business resources available to residents. So feel free to contact our office, and we'll be glad to share the process on how to request those presentations. What are the requirements to get a scholarship? Carol.
Well, some of the basic ones would be you need to be a Broward County resident. There are 24 career source Browards, and there are 24 career sources throughout the state regionally, and we serve Broward. So you'd be a Broward resident. You need to be eligible to work in Broward. And also there are some financial income eligibility requirements. So the best way to be able to know how we can serve you, because there's so many services and programs we have. So to be able to know exactly where you fit, the best thing to do would be to either call us or to visit a career center for the specific details, because it's not one size fits all.
Thank you. Next question. What about information and resources for people over 60?
I know that NSU has what they call the Lifelong Learning Institute that provides training on a variety of topics. So that's, I don't know what specific resource they were looking for, but that's a low-hanging fruit that I know that that's a good place to start.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to add another great resource. A partner of ours at the Alliance is 211 Broward. 211 Broward is the call line here where you can call them and they can connect you to different resources. So I would recommend maybe contacting 211, and they can then link you to those organizations.
Okay, so actually that participant clarified that they said the question was for Carol, Career Source Broward, if resources you may have that are for people that are 60 or over.
Well, I think a job is a job, and you have someone who is an older person, has wonderful wealth of experience, and employers are hiring. So it depends on, what your background is, that you can come in and we are able to assist.
Thank you, Carol. And please connect with, I'm going to share briefly the contact information from all our speakers and our office. Please, Linda, you can feel free to connect with all of us, and we'll be able to connect you to resources. This is the question that Doreen mentioned. Hello, I got divorced on 2020 after a 20-year marriage, and I've been looking for a job. I need an opportunity to be productive. She has a bachelor's in psychology and experience like a mentor and a caregiver. So she would like to know, what opportunities she can access to apply for opportunities in those areas.
again, for us, Employ Florida is the database to go to, because it's not just has the jobs that we put in, but it spiders the major job boards. So it's really one-stop shopping. And as you get ready to want to go out on interviews, or, you know, as we talked about, finding the hidden job market, one of the things to do is to come in, take a look at the over 10 workshops that we have, and then start your job search there with us.
Thank you, Carol. And Broward County, when you look at the list of positions for Broward County, we do have positions available for case managers as part of our human services division. So we definitely encourage you to check out our website as well. And I know I'm not going to have time to go because we are over time over all the questions, but here is the contact information from all our speakers. So I want to encourage all of you, if you have additional questions, if you want more information about the information that our presenters shared today, here's their contact information. We're going to be emailing you this information as well. I want to thank all of you for joining us this morning. I want to thank our speakers for sharing the wealth of information and knowledge with us today, for sharing your personal experiences as well. I think this has been really meaningful for me, for all of you as presenters, and for our audience. Very valuable information. We're going to have it available on our website. So I just wanted to ask our speakers just a few closing remarks from each one of you before we move into sharing information about upcoming events. We can start with Teresa.
Well, first, thank you again for having us here. But I just say that, you know, take the leap of faith, figure out what it is that you want to do. And there, you know, we've all shared a variety of resources to follow that path that you're thinking of. If it's starting your business, of course, reach out to us. But if it's a job, you know, again, lots of resources here, and take a minute and think about what it is you want to do next.
Thank you. Laureen?
Oh, I also want to say thank you. And I want to thank, I was scrolling through and looking at the questions in the chat. So I think you really did hit the mark in bringing together people that are really looking for ways to re-engage. So I want to encourage everyone who's in the chat and who's thinking, I would tell you that Broward, and you heard a lot about it on the call today, Broward County and these leading organizations are really committed to helping. And there are a lot of resources. So if you're feeling like you just don't know where to start, I think, you know, today's session gave you like, oh, I see Broward Career Source, Broward College. You know, there are just so many organizations looking to create those training and support opportunities. So I just encourage everyone to just, you know, go for it and look for help. Don't be shy to ask for help, because I think help is out there, and I just want to encourage them to do that.
Thank you, Carol.
Again, as my fellow panelists said, thank you so much. This was excellent timing. I do just want to share a few facts that, you know, statewide pre-pandemic, women are about 500,000 fewer in the workforce than men. That's pre-pandemic. Now, the good news is that over the past few months, we see women coming back to the labor force above pre-pandemic levels, so that it has begun. And again, we have a wonderful array of services to help you to be the best that you can be. And I would say that no matter what your circumstances are today, it doesn't define who you are. And if you wanted to go back to school, if you just want to get a job, or if you want to reskill or change your employment, just it starts with the opening the door of Career Source Broward. And if we are not able to, because you may have other needs as well, we are so connected to our community partners. Broward is one of the most collaborative counties that I have ever seen. So we are all here to serve, and it was just a pleasure to be here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carol. Tracy.
Sure. Well, thank you. Thank you, team, for having us. I think this was a great conversation. And what I will share with the team here is, as Carol mentioned, we are here to help support you. Me specifically, my project, we're focusing on the 6 zip codes with the highest poverty and highest unemployment. I believe someone shared the zip codes in the chat earlier. So if you are located in one of those areas, please do reach out to me, and I will be more than happy to help connect you to the right resource.
Thank you, Tracy. And because this was a very successful event, stay tuned, don't go anywhere, because the next slide is going to be our next conversation series. Please mark your calendars, March 25th at 10:30, the same time. Also during Women History Month, and we are going to have our new county administrator, Monica Supera, is going to be moderating the panel. And the topic is going to be a topic that we know is of importance to many businesses, and that's access to capital, right? Funding opportunities, financial resources for my business. As I'm starting my business, as I'm scaling my business, if I want to start exporting internationally, do you have financial resources for small businesses? So we have an excellent panel for the next conversation series. Is going to be access to capital, resources, and financial opportunity for women-owned businesses. You can see the announcement here. It's going to be Facebook Live, again, March 25th. Please mark your calendars. We'll hope to see you there. And we also want to invite you to our conference, our Broward and Beyond Business Conference. Mark your calendars. It's going to be May 6th. It is a full-day event at the Signature Grand. Excellent concurrent sessions with information about everything you need to know about your business startups, business development, even international trade. We will have information for you. We're going to have an exhibit hall with amazing resources for you to connect to more opportunities. We're going to have a bidding one-on-one session, basically. What do you have to do to navigate government contracting? We're going to have many organizations that are procuring services, so you can learn about those opportunities, and also employment opportunities, right? Workforce development opportunities for our residents. So definitely is a free event. Please mark your calendars. May 6th, registration is already open. So if you go to our website, you can see it here. You can register today for our free conference, Broward and Beyond Business Conference. Next slide, please. I think we want to share with you our contact information. Please stay connected with Broward County's Office of Economic and Small Business Development. Follow us on social media and tell us, we're here to serve you. Tell us what else you want, what additional resources you want, what topics you want for future conversation series. We really want to hear from you. Feel free to email us. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today. It was a pleasure sharing with you all this information. Please subscribe to our Business Assistance Weekly newsletter. It's also free, and all our services are free. So as Carol mentioned, we are here to assist you. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Happy Women History Month, and I hope to see you in 2 weeks for our next conversation series.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank
Maribel.
you.
Great job,
Bye.
Maribel. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.